Ahoy lads, Sam here. Finally bringing you some new Dark Souls content. I'm starting a new series that I will call Invasion Analysis. And I'm going to encourage my viewers to send me invasions they would like me to look over and analyze, give feedback, especially things that would help people who are just getting into invading, or even people who are fairly experienced. I can go over the more intricate things within those invasions. First thing on my way up is I pay attention to where the host and phantom are. I use a perseverance to prevent myself from being knocked off by a great arrow or from a hidden force around the corner. I had noticed that I invaded value, which is quite rare because value never hosts. And normally I would really appreciate to get a phantom isolated, but quickly I noticed this phantom is smarter than the average bear. And I figure that out quickly because it is a summon with value. So Futz1lla here is somebody I wasn't super familiar with, but I quickly learn I have to respect and play my best around. You'll see me using affinity in order to try to break their aggression. They're doing quite well at spacing me with their straight sword, their sword and board setup. And I'm trying to catch them at maximum distance with the aquamarine. I also fail a midway swap while fighting them early on. I'll provide just a little bit of background information to this invasion. So in this invasion, you're going to see myself and SaraToga, two very experienced invaders slash hosts, fighting two very experienced duelists, Value and Futz1lla. I would argue Value is the best sword and board player that I know of. This next part of the video, I consciously decide to not help my co-invader. I normally wouldn't decide to do something like that, but this person invades and immediately starts using a light roll murky hand sight build, so I just decide to let them fight it out. Normally I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't take a back seat, but against the sword and board setup from Value and Futz1lla, I just feel like it's a bit disrespectful. Maybe they wouldn't give me the same respect, but I just wasn't going to participate until this invader was. Follow down there eventually to see that both the red and this new Aldrich that invaded have died. I give a friendlier greeting. It's not really necessary, but perhaps I was trying to communicate at the time that, yeah, I wasn't going to help out that awful red phantom for playing the way they were. And Futz1lla fiddles around with something, and eventually I have both Futz1lla and Value attacking me. So you're going to see me do a lot more running, but I try not to just run. I try to make attempts for turn and burn. I'm trying to make attempts for damage. I'm using a setup where I'll have affinity, and then I'll fire fair and hail, and I'm very likely to get some chip damage in, at least against sword and board. Affinity is also quite dangerous to block. It does a lot of stamina damage, so I'm always looking for where they might screw up and block affinity and then get staggered so I can riposte them. The next thing I try to do is line up a chasing pivot backstab. I notice that Value and Futz1lla are chasing me perhaps too aggressively and perhaps even locked on, and that makes it easy for me at one point to take a tight turnaround behind Value and grab a backstab on him. And I'll slow it down so you can see this easier. Look at how Value turns towards me. That's how I know he's locked on in this situation. It makes it a lot easier for me to get the backstab this way. The reason is because if he was unlocked, he likely would have kept moving further away from me, making me not grab that backstab. I finally get another teammate who I tried to help save from this ambush, and it doesn't matter, they die in seconds anyway. Value comes up to me and I do a prediction parry. Now, I got staggered. I should have opened my menu and swapped my weapon, but I was a bit too nervous in this circumstance and instead riposted with aquamarine for much less damage. Next, I'm put in a difficult situation of fighting both these two at once, and although I'm not proud to continually run and try and turn and burn, I am delaying for a co-invader to try to make the situation better. It's made even more dangerous when Futz1lla has the split leaf, because that has a very strong running stun, and then I'm going to fall into more damage and very likely get blendered to death. The most dangerous thing as an invader is the blender. Next, I execute a midway swap. This version of it is more predictable than I would have liked it to be, but it worked on value because he was being very overly aggressive. I'd also like to note when I'm running away from players using two-handed Goddards, you need that extra distance. You can't be that close because if you roll, you're going to get hit by that second sword. It's a frame trap. That's why I am very far away when I see they are using two-hand Goddards, and I recommend you do the same. I give a little bit of disrespect to that red who invaded again, the one who had Murky Hand Scythe before they die immediately. Then I get this Aldrich co-invader who looks to be alright, and I'm really trying to help them out and keep them alive because they definitely have more Estus than I do in this situation. Immediately after I tell you this, I'm going to go back on my word, and unfortunately I execute a big fuck up, okay? I cast Homing Crystal Soul Mass, and I plan to use the old HCSM to Crystal Soul Spear in order to get a lot of damage in on value, but my teammate is too close, and I should have known this. I locked on and fired it all at them instead. Big fuck up. At this time, I realize that the red co-invader with me is SaraToga. That boosts my confidence a lot, knowing that I have a very good co-invader with me, and that increases our chances of winning by a lot. At first, I try not to get in Sarah's way or damage Sarah while she is attacking value in the corner, but I'm forced to step in as they come out of that corner and Futz1lla comes into the fray. I have no more Estus, so I can't afford to take a lot of damage, but I also can't afford to have these two pile on Sarah, so I try to throw myself in between Sarah and value and Futz1lla in order to allow Sarah to have some distance, as well as I need to shoot those two in the back with spells when I can. Futz1lla and value hanging out in this small corridor is actually quite good for me because they're forced to block, but even blocking great heavy soul arrow is going to force them to take noteworthy damage, so they end up eventually coming out of there, but that's a very good position for me. I am also letting my nerves get to me a bit at this point. I should not be doing back cancels, and I really should not be failing back cancels either. I know how to do better cancels, and this is just a case where I had to take just a second to calm myself and get my footing back and play the way I should. I get too greedy when fighting value. I should know that without any Estus and with two co-invaders, my role right now is strictly support. I need to be shooting from the back. I can't afford to be taking all this damage, especially when it's unnecessary. Yes, keeping value separated, pun intended, has value to it, but it's more important that I actually stay alive and support these two than it is to keep value off for a few seconds, because Futz1lla can handle himself. And because I centered myself, even though I get put through the ringer next, I'm able to execute a good, not perfect, but good moving cancel, get the Divine Blessing in, and stay in the game. The Tailbone Spear attack works wonders and separates value and Futz1lla quite well, so I decide to take it a bit riskier and attack value while my two summons wail down on the Phantom in this very disadvantageous position for both of them. It works out great and the Phantom's put away, though this was a very risky decision. As I said previously, separating value has value, but I can't afford to take too much damage, so that's one reason I stick with Perseverance in order to take less damage from Value's sword. I know Value's going for the resummon. Now, he doesn't resummon Futz1lla, but whoever he's summoning, I want to make sure they don't have as great of an impact, and I don't have the resources to fight value too much on my own. I decide it's better to ambush the Phantom as soon as they come in. I really expected my one soul arrow to put the Phantom away fully as he was backing away. That doesn't quite work, and I provide a tiny bit of support against value, but then I decide to go help the Aldrich, get rid of the Phantom, and put value on the back pedal. I want to get a wake up after my backstab, but the Aldrich is very clearly insistent on going for the wake up, so I just don't fight him over it. The Aldrich and I dance around this Phantom a little bit, who maybe isn't quite up to par or just performed a bit worse, but we're able to put this Phantom away quite quickly and focus all of our attention on value. My role changes in this situation. My role is to now guard the exits, prevent resummons, punish value for overcommitment. You will see me often free aim Fair and Hail in order to try to catch value as he's going away, because that little bit of stun will slow him down, and even if I hit one of my teammates, it's not going to do a ton of damage, and I have two teammates, one of them likely is going to gain distance on value. There will be times where I briefly switch out this role, where I may go in and provide dagger spam or additional pressure, but it's important I don't get in the way of my teammates, and I try not to let value escape either. The only times I want to do that is either when a teammate is in danger of dying, or I think I can get value trapped and take a lot more damage. It doesn't quite work out in this situation. Value is playing passively, but that is the right move in this situation. He's got two, perhaps three more than capable invaders, and he can't afford to take too many risks or commit too much because he will get hit by spells from me. Value does eventually get the resummon, but at a great cost. He takes a lot of damage that he can't afford to at this point, and before his summon comes in, the three of us are still going to pile on him, knowing that he doesn't have a lot of resources left. As we come towards the end of this invasion, I'd like to point out that much later I did some duels against value to fight him in his area since he fought me in mine, and I was very impressed with these duels. I will have to show them to you. In summary, I was able to do quite well and win a few of the first few duels, but once value had me pinned down and knew what to do against me, I could no longer win, and it is very worth diving into and respecting the type of skill and performance that were in those duels. So expect that in a separate video. I had so much fun making this video, and please contact me on Discord, send me some of your invasion clips.